So, welcome back to Outcast Metal Media. My name's Paul, and today I'm joined by Jacob, Andreas, and Dara of the Interbeing. Guys, thank you ever so much for having us. Obviously, this is the second time that we have attempted this because the first time we were going to do it at Richter. But that went a bit awry. But I just want to thank you for the hospitality. It was really cool to hang around with you guys, and you allowed me to come in, have a bit of food. So I really appreciate that.
Of course.
But
Thank you for traveling all this way. So that's amazing.
Of course. So for those who aren't aware of the Interbeing, can you give a bit of a brief description of who the Interbeing are and the story, shall we say, behind the first three albums?
Yeah, definitely. We started in 2006. We formed as a band, and we just played around with all kinds of ideas. First album came out in 2011, Edge of the Obscure, and from the beginning, with the name The Interbeing was inspired by the artist who makes a lot of the visuals for Tool. So it had like this certain being in a shape, and I kind of like the idea of following a being through a storyline of sorts, which is connected with the name. So this person, this being, is the main character in all the songs, going from the first record to the second to the third, and very much inspired by this dystopian sci-fi soundscape, which is connected to the visuals, connected to the lyrics, connected to all these kinds of stuff. And regarding the lyrics by themselves, I was very inspired by The Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, an old sci-fi book, but the vocabulary was so complex, filled with many synonyms and nuances, that I thought that it would be cool to write lyrics in a way that had so much depth in the English vocabulary, and also referring to the futuristic terms from these old dystopian books.
Okay, so you've touched on the fact that the English vocabulary. What makes English? I mean, you see it all over bands in Europe, especially a lot of Danish bands like Volbeat and Vola. But what makes English so appealing to sing in, like when it's not your native tongue?
For me, I'm half Irish, so I've been dual linguistics since I was born. I always talked Danish and then English with my family, and if I was in school. So it's always been two languages, Danish and English, and I always thought English was so fascinating that I studied in university afterwards. So that's more of a personal appeal that I thought, compared to the Danish language, the English language has like 100 synonyms to one word, where in Danish language you're lucky if you have three. So it's the depth of the language I'm really fascinated about. But of course, in general, I think people choose the English language to reach a wider target group, because it's an international language compared to the national language. It's only recently, within the last 5 years or so, that many Danish bands are exploring having Danish as their main language in some of their songs within the metal environment, which is cool. We support that too.
I kind of understand the fact that English is very much a universal language, and therefore it probably appeals to a wider range, so I do get that. So with that being said, which bands have inspired your unique brand of industrial metal?
I think like there's several, and we have a very diverse music taste in the band, but of course, if we look back, especially one name I would mention for the polar rhythms alone is Meshuggah. I think that really inspired a lot of way of writing and using polar rhythms in the metal world, which was something new. But of course, when we came out this more sci-fi cyber metal world, there was the big names such as Fear Factory, of course, very inspiring. But there was many of the smaller bands competing with each other. Bands like, of course, Mimic, the Danish band, Raunchy, Cybreed. There were many of these small names like popping up almost at the same time, inspired by this sci-fi world, which inspired our world. So what we did was try to take the elements of different genres that we thought were cool. We were also very inspired by the whole electronic soundscape. That alone, we listened to a lot of pure electronic music, and we wanted to see how could we incorporate that in the metal music.
I do sort of understand that as well, because when I was growing up, my mum had an album by an artist called Dario G back in the UK, and it was British dance music, shall we say. But I enjoyed that album so much, I listened to it a lot, and that probably had an effect on the sort of metal that I listened to. I venture all over the place, but you know, yourselves, Rammstein. There's so many bands that if I went and looked on my phone and looked through, I'd probably go, that's industrial, or it's got electronic elements, and so I can fully understand where you're coming from with that side of things. I do love my electronics with my metal. I find it very enjoyable, and it adds that depth, that extra layer of music, which is really enjoyable.
I agree.
Yeah, we could put an extra layer on the on just the guitars that you have, but then have this extra layer where you can put some soundscape elements and also effects and stuff like that. Actually, on the first record, we did a lot of effects that we did ourselves, just like doing something with something acoustic elements we had, and just twisted it in the programming. So it's not sounds from whatever software, but actually something that we made and we were enjoying to it like that.
That's awesome. So let's talk about Icon of the Hopeless. I read on your website that is the conclusion to a trilogy to the story.
Yeah.
How have your experiences through life shaped that story, and what's next for the Interbeing from that sound or that story, and what can fans expect?
It's a very good question. A question we can't even answer ourselves 100%. Right?
Fair enough.
But when we came to this last album, it felt like with the storyline, following this main character, exploring challenges in the different worlds, and then on the second one, meeting his creator, and then on the third one, kind of getting the revenge back on the creator.
These guys are like
the jokers, the pranksters.
They're not in the band anyway. So.
Brutal.
Anymore. So it just felt natural to say that this was the last part of the trilogy. It was hard to see what the next step should be in the storyline. So it just felt very natural. This was a chapter closing. And for us personally as musicians, this was also, right now we're in a very weird place where we want to renew our sound and renew our view on writing songs and what kind of expression. We want to, I think, to very simplify it, to break out of the frames which have been put on us right now. To say something new in a new way.
Yeah.
But still like following our inspirations and stuff like that, but just to having an alternative perspective on having people say, I didn't really expect that. That was
it up a bit,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's trying to do it also ourselves, throwing the ball in the air and try to do it different than we have done it before, both with writing and with inspirations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective as a fan of your music, it's I discovered you guys. I can't remember the year exactly, but it was definitely after Edge of the Obscure and before Among the Amorphous. And these three albums are what I class as perfect albums, because I cannot skip a song on any of the albums. So I love to listen to all three through, and they all sound whilst they all sort of sound similar, they're also different in each way. It's almost like each one is an individual story on itself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit difficult for me maybe to go from the sound of the first three and like see what's next, so to speak. But of course, I'm going to look forward to what you guys release.
But then again, like we're still the same guys, so
Yeah.
it will of course still have like some of the elements that people are used to, and we don't strive to differ that much.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, sometimes it's good to mix it up a bit.
Of course, yeah. You see that from bands all the time, don't you?
And I think also personally, I think like if this is clearly not a business where you make a lot of money. So we do this for personal.
What do you mean?
we promised fame and fortune.
So we do this for personal reasons, and I think also we're in a place right now where things are maybe, I wouldn't say too easy of writing stuff, but you have to be in a place where you're challenged and trying to see a next step and say, okay, what do we do here? Let's just try to think out of the box. I remember we were in that place, like in the beginning, writing and forming the band of what is this going to be like. That's been working out really good for the last 3 albums. Right now, I want that also for the band to be in that place where everything feels new and inspiring and okay, let's do this. That's crazy. How would people like it? I don't know. I don't give a shit. Let's just put it out there. So there's something really energetic when you have that sense of creation.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to what comes next. Are there any of your songs that you have a special connection to, and if so, why?
I think for my part, I just had a thought on playing live shows a day. Spiral into Existence is a song for my part. When we play that, no matter how tired I am or if I'm on tour or been working all day, when we start that song, I just get 100% boost. That's from my side.
Yeah, but I can actually say the same thing, and I've been on both sides. Like I joined the band 5 years ago, but before that I was a fan, and then Spiral into Existence was one of the tracks that got me into Interbeing. Yeah, I love that song and still love it to this day, and playing it is by far my highlight on the set in each set we play. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Nice.
What about yourself, Jacob? Any special connections to a song?
These special connections.
Yeah.
I think that one of the first songs that we made as the Interbeing, because I've been playing also with Dara before, just in another constellation. But one of the first, I think it was the first track we did, is Face Deletion, and that's actually where we just we have a new sound here, and I got to play some groovy stuff on this, but still it was this new way we did it, because I think that's something that it's always just great to play that live. I think that would be a pick.
Fair enough.
But I can take a lot of songs and say that's fucking great to play. That's fucking great, and I think we have to highlight from the new album Black Halo. It's so fucking awesome to play. It's also the first song that you were like writing stuff with us, so I think it's something that we all can.
I think from my perspective, again as a fan, not as much as playing, other than Fields of Grey, I think it is one of my favourites. I'd be like, no, you've got to play all the albums in full. that would be my perspective. Again, since I just like all the albums, it'd be awesome to hear this in full. That's it, in full. That's just my perspective.
It'd be fun for us to experience too. Try to play the 3 records.
Some musicians have done it. Devin Townsend's been known to play some of his albums in full. You never know. It's one of those things that maybe in your career you do. Speaking of careers and also highlights, what have been your highlights of your career so far?
I think like there's always like 2 different sides of being a musician. There's like the creative highlights, and then there's the show highlights. different sides. I think it's when you finish an album, that's a huge highlight for me. It's like when you say, okay, now you can put the period in the sentence. It's done. It's finished.
A little bit of relief as well, I imagine.
Huge relief, and that when you're in that phase and you're in the studio and you're listening to it and you're thinking, okay, now it's there where it's supposed to be. It's there where we imagine it to be. That's like a huge highlight mentally for me. But I think show-wise, I think Copenhagen 2017 was a really good experience, and then also Tokyo, I would say, was a weird experience, but a good experience. And
We did
that must have been awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, metal's huge over in Tokyo.
Yeah. And but actually, we played something that none of the other bands did. It was like they were way more,
melodic
and much more looking back in time. 80s were their thing, and we came with this industrial kind of metal.
This juggernaut,
and still it was a packed venue, and people were just like opening and just open for this. And it was so fucking awesome to play a gig where you were like on the other side of the world, and there was actually a response that was really positive. It was perfect. But also a tour with 12 Foot Ninja. That was a huge highlight. It was so fucking funny. They were just great guys, and they were. We did a nightliner tour, and we just been with them in 20 days or something like that. It was really cool.
Awesome.
And
I mean, I know we were talking about Plagues outside. I know that he wants to, or one of his countries that he wants to go to is Japan. So it seems that a lot of musicians want to go over to that side of the world. Like I said, where metal seems to be huge. I mean, they love their music in general over there, but metal seems to be a massive one over there. I mean, you've got Bring Me the Horizon about to headline like a one-day festival thing over there. So it just shows how powerful metal still is.
Definitely.
Sure.
Definitely.
Never dies. I don't care what anyone says. Never dies.
Never dies.
So for my final question, because my channel is about, should we say, giving the smaller guys a chance, sort of opening the doorway for people to find these smaller bands, and they can come and find me. Can you name one band each would be even greater, that the vast majority will have never heard of and that they can go and check out?
I have one.
Yeah.
It's a band called Seeing Things.
Seeing Things.
I think they're from, they might kill me, I think they're from Czech Republic.
Okay.
It's like, well, it is kind of metalcore, but in a very brutal way, also in like their sound. And it's very very heavy on the electronics also.
Ooh, that sounds good. That'll appeal to me.
Yeah, and they fill around with all different kinds of drop tuning throughout their songs, and for me it's quite innovative, and they have a really unique sound.
Awesome. I'll be sure to check them out a bit later then.
Seeing Things, you should definitely check them out.
Seeing Things. Jacob.
Me or
Metallica.
You've been put on the spot.
I just want to say a Danish band actually, because I think that's. But I'm just gonna give me a second. Maybe you can take over.
I'm struggling too a bit.
This is a tough question. It's a tough question, to be fair.
It is a tough question.
Let's see. What do we have?
I think I would recommend the Danish scene too right now, which is Cabal.
I know Cabal.
CABAL. I like them too. They're
really
they're really moving forward. So.
I'm just
your mind's
trying
blank.
my mind's blank right now, but I come up with something. One moment later.
Crop it down like 1 hour later.
I have to say something, but I just want to say something right. So it's just.
We'll give you a sec.
The pressure's on. I mean, I'll give you a second. Like obviously, one of the bands that again I've mentioned, Plagues. I'm part of a street team for them, so I'd recommend that for people to check them out. They're a metalcore band from UK. Well, metalcore UK, deathcore, with a different sound coming up. I'll say. Who else would I say? We're Awakened. Used to be called Synagod. Back home, We're Awakened. They're sort of like a gothic, rock rock and metal band from not too far from myself in Wigan. So I'd definitely recommend checking those out.
Yeah. Send them to us. Yeah.
So that's giving you a second.
I think we'll settle with 2 names.
We might have to.
He's searching his Spotify
He's
right now. That's just like.
That's awesome.
Do you know Iron Maiden?
Oh, yeah. But yeah.
I'll give you a
I'm
third name.
gonna say nothing. No, that's not right. But I think it's just how big do you say? Because there's a lot of band I could mention, but still,
I know the feeling.
if it's a small band,
it's tough. It's tough.
Okay. I just have to figure out what they are called because I just been doing a festival for like upcoming bands in Denmark, and there was one metal name that really kicked. I think there's like nothing out there right now, but and I think the recordings is not, but the live show that was fucking insane. There was so much energy and stuff like that. That's a really small band, but what they named,
You've got to go and find them. Yeah.
That was just a good experience, but yeah,
To be honest, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link to the bands like yourselves and the links of the other bands into the description. So even if they're not name dropped,
He will get back to you. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah.
We could also wait another 10 minutes and just torture him just like this while we're doing.
That sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. Having said that, we're on a timer.
Cool.
But yeah,
Let's move on.
Well, I just want to appreciate, say thank you for taking your time out of your evening to do this. It was something that I was a little bit nervous about doing. This my first one, so I really do thank you for that. And we'll wrap it up there. Thank you ever so much if you do end up watching this. You might be maybe 1 or 2 viewers only in the video, but hopefully you will see it. And I will see you all next time.
Cheers.
Peace.